Have you heard about Aakash Institute? I'm sure you would have. And by now, the logo of Aakash would have also flashed in your head. Yes, exactly. My name is Aakash Chaudhry and I'm here today to talk about the amazing journey of Aakash right from 30 crore to a 7,000 crore valued business. They say that all the success is built on many failures, and Aakash is no exception to that. The story of Aakash started way back in '83. In fact, the first time the family started to get into this business or this outfit was back in 1983 when my father started with an institute for coaching students. And that institute was not even named Aakash, it was named something else. He worked very hard during those days and it did not really work out. And since we were small kids, we did not really relate. We thought, like he's going to school, he's going to another school for his teaching. But later we realized that, he was trying to set up a new business. And that did not work out despite his hard work. So he closed it down. And then again, he started back in '86. This was his second attempt. That also did not work out for some of the other reasons, though he worked very, very hard. So it was 1988 when he actually started the Aakash Institute, which we see today. So this was the third attempt, so to say, before the Aakash Institute was established. So in '88, I was almost 9 to 10 years old, and all I knew was that he was teaching students to make them doctors. So I think that was the mindset, that was the environment where me and my brother grew up. So when he was busy setting up the Aakash Institute, in my wildest dream, I never imagined that I'll be the part of this organization or I would be leading this organization at some point of time. I think for me, it was, an interesting discussion that would happen on a dining table where he would discuss his day's activities and day's stories with the students. That was also very rare because, he would come in very late and most of the days in the week he was busy teaching students. But I had never ever thought that I would be part of this organization. But the good part that happened, while he was teaching, but on the side, he was also building a business, building an enterprise. So I think the discussions and the tensions and the stress and the ideations and the spirit of fighting back. So that I could really see that, every time, he was up to something, he was not giving up. He would be in a pressure on a certain day. And next day, I would see that, he solved that problem and he was persistent with it. So after my engineering, like any, campus candidate, we had a lot of companies coming into the college. So we had, I got an offer to join Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, back in 2001. But unfortunately, that was the time of dot-com bust, and we were asked to, stay put on bench for until further notice. So I spent, 2 to 3 months waiting for them to allow me to join them. But unfortunately, that moment never came. So I decided to quit that waiting and, join my father, who was doing, his medical coaching business. So that was my first stint with Aakash Education. And when I joined him in 2001, I, quickly realized that, he was very, very successful in teaching and running his business. But I really realized that, he's spending a lot of time in deep operation and was not looking outside of the deep operation in setting up his finance, setting up his HR, setting up his marketing and sales, and, creating a whole team for R&D and products. So I think that was the time I realized that, this is an opportunity. I've learned a lot, about, setting up structures while I was in my engineering. So I thought this is an opportunity for me to come together and help him out. So I think that's where my professional, so to say, career started, where I joined him in 2001 to help him out with activities outside of his core operations. So I think that was the time I started my first entrepreneurial venture of setting an advertising and production company. That company started off well. Aakash, we started doing the advertisement creations and the ideas and the designing and the collaterals for the company, which was appreciated by the entire team. And but then obviously we were very clear that having one client would not be enough. So we started going out in the market. We started finding more clients, and we charged him on some really good clients that started growing the business. But it happened that one of the large clients which asked us to do a national release, that led to a massive strain on the finances of this company. So since I was not an accredited company, I did not have any credits. So I ended up using my own personal funds to fund the entire marketing media campaign for that client. Unfortunately, that client went bankrupt and stopped paying us. So that was a very, very important turning point for me, because my first business, my first entry into the business, which was with my father, did not work out well. And my new venture just went bankrupt. So while I joined him in 2001 to help him out with things outside of his operations, I quickly realized that, his ability to teach, his ability to run the business, and as an outcome of that, the success that he was getting was immense. And that's where, I got to a point where I started to think that you can't question success. It's very, very difficult. Yeah. And whenever we would have a conversation that, Dad, I'm proposing this thing, this looks very good on paper, would you like to see this? Would you like to implement this? And he said that, without all of this, I'm getting the success that I want. Then why should I get into this? And that's where, and this did not happen once, and happened a couple of times. And I came to a realization that, you can't really question success. And I think, and that is where, the whole mind started to work around that, I also need to get into an entrepreneurial venture and make it successful. And nobody is going to ask me any question, or people will believe in my suggestions and my proposals. Because every time we would have this discussion, this was sort of a fight between ideas and experience. He had all the experience, and I was trying to bring in ideas, and the experience would always win. And I was always confused that, the world has changed. He's doing the same thing over and over again. And with my own thought process, I always thought that, you can't continue to do the same thing for a very, very long time unless you innovate and you reinvigorate the process and the systems. So that was my strong belief, but those beliefs did not stand well in front of the success that he was achieving. And that's where I decided that, while I try to help him, I will also try to set up a successful entrepreneurship venture. And that's where I decided that, let me identify some opportunity, and marketing and advertising seemed like an opportunity where I could make my mark. And that's where, I was just flipping through pages, and I came across, this exact program advertisement by NUS School in Singapore. And I thought that, let me try this out and see if management knowledge, management education is something that I'm missing out and I need to fill myself up in. So I went for this program, and to my utter surprise, it was a deja vu moment. I realized that management education and management vocations, these are some of the things that really interested me. I think the way they talked about strategy, the way they talked about processes, the way they talked about talent management, the way they talked about bringing innovation, scenario planning, I think that really caught my fancy. And I came back to India after that 3-week program and applied for my MBA program admissions. So I was fortunate enough to get a few admission calls from different MBA schools all across the world. And while I had my stint at NUS, so I was very, very keen to take up my MBA program outside of India because I liked the openness, I liked the level and the depth of interaction. I liked the recency of the teaching that was happening in international schools. It was very, very close to how the corporates work. They had a very, very strong interaction and integration with the industry. So I was very keen to take up an MBA program outside India. And I think that was the time when I came across ISB also as an option. And I was fortunate enough to, join the program. That was a very, very important life turning point for me because when I went to ISB, you know, obviously, you know, you've done some business, you've done your engineering, you're coming from Delhi, you've done good schooling, you've done some set of achievements in your life, you've got yourself exposed to an international education. So I went there with a lot of aspirations and with loads of confidence. But I think first semester was the most grueling semester that I experienced ever in my life. So while I was down with my performance at ISB, I think that was also a very, very important point, because I realized that the power of ISB was not only what they were teaching, but the power of ISB was the kind of peer group that they had. I clearly recall I was sitting in my room in hostel, and I was completely, destroyed in terms of the scores that I got, the B grades and the C grades. And somebody walked in and he said, why are you looking so serious? What went wrong? And I told him, look at my scores. This is pathetic. I have never seen these kind of scores. And, incidentally, that gentleman joined ISB after armed forces. And he told me that, this is no failure. The failure is when you command a battalion and you give a wrong instruction and people die. That's a failure, and I've experienced that, and I've come out of that. This is nothing. I think interactions like these at ISB really, really stayed with me. So I was, in fact, very, very excited about the campus placement, and I ended up joining the company, and there I spent about a year in Infosys, on different assignments that were given to me in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, and some of the other places. After spending about a year plus in Infosys, I got an opportunity to join Cognizant Technologies, which was there in Chennai. So I ended up moving to Chennai from Hyderabad. That was again a new experience for me, working in a new company, which is a very, very young company at that point of time, and trying to compete with the giants like Infosys and TCS and Wipro of the world at that time. It was a very, very different experience. And I think the time that I spent in Infosys and Cognizant really gave me a very, very deep insight into how such large companies can work on a day-to-day basis and grow exceptionally without their founder or promoter being there on the floor every single day. And I think that's what I was trying to, put my brain around, put my mind around, that, here's my father who's completely involved in his business as a promoter, and here's these large organizations where the promoters are involved on a very, very strategic level in guiding the company, guiding that ship. So very different experience I got while working with Infosys and Cognizant as compared to what I got in the family business. And I would always think that, so this is exactly what I was trying to tell him and move the organization to, where, today I'm working in this company and this is a working, successful model. So why could not we do that in our family? So that always kept me, confused, that is it the leadership? Is it the industry? Or is it the work environment? What is missing? So that assignment, which was given to me to join Australia, I think that was the time when my family, especially my father, realized that if he moves away from India to Australia for this job, he is not coming back. So I think that's where he realized that, I'm sort of getting more mature and older in this business, and I would need some helping hand. And if this boy probably goes out, then, I may lose out on this opportunity. So I think that's when he, called upon me and said that, why don't you leave Cognizant and come and join me? And, I came back to Delhi. We had a great discussion. I said, I've worked with you in past, and, you are a one-man show. It's a very different work culture. It hasn't gelled with me. So how do you expect me to come back and, redo this whole journey that I've already experienced? He said, okay, what do you want, for you to leave that job and join Aakash? And I think that at that time, I said, working with you, I may not learn much. So I need a very, very independent place of work where I can do experiments that I have learned and I feel very strongly about, that those are going to work in this business. So he said, okay, fine, you pick up a location and you go start your Aakash Institute Center there. And I think at that time, Aakash was a very, very North India brand, and we were very popular in Delhi NCR and some of the other North states. And we always had a dream to set up something in western part of the country, especially Bombay. I think at that time he decided, why don't you go to Bombay and set up an Aakash franchise in Bombay. I think that was a very, very interesting opportunity for me. Here I was working 5 days a week, 9 to 5 in some of the top IT companies, well recognized, a great peer group. And now I was given this opportunity to start my own center, my own venture, where I'm completely independently in charge of. So the profit and losses of doing work there were entirely and squarely related to me. So I think that was exciting for me, but I was also very afraid that I'm leaving this this profession, this stream of technology for which I have spent a lot of time, and I'm moving completely into a new area. To my surprise, when we were having this discussion of finalizing the location for the venture, my father said that, it's good that you've decided to move away in a very independent manner, but I would suggest that you take my franchise and not go as a company branch. So I think that was a very interesting conversation I had with my father. I was really surprised that, you want to give a franchise to your son rather than, give your own branch. He said, this is a brand that I have built for last 20 years. I've spent a lot of effort in it, and this brand is something that carries a lot of value, and you must respect that value, and you must pay me the royalty of the brand that you're taking from me. And I think at that time, it sounded very uneasy for me, sounded very cheesy for me, that my father is asking me a commission on the brand. But when I went there and I started working and I started sending him the royalty checks, at those days was a monthly check, I realized the value of the practice that he has put me into. And I think if I had not taken that franchise and taken the brand for granted, I would have never built the affinity, built the respect, built the, my understanding of creating a valuable brand. I started the center, I clearly remember, on 14th of March in 2006. And first day was a rockstar day. A lot of students came to the center. The teachers taught them. They were all sent from Delhi. And they all went back satisfied, and the parents were happy that finally, thankfully, Aakash is here, and our students can fulfill their dreams of becoming doctors. At that time, we did not have JEE. So I think with this feeling, I went back home, and to my utter surprise, next day morning, early morning, I got a message on my phone that two of my teachers, out of the 4 teachers who had come from Delhi, they will not be coming for the class. And I was very, very surprised, angry, sad, scared that, I've just started a business. Day 1 was a super hit. And day 2, 2 out of my 4 teachers will not show up. And that would mean a complete no-show. And I was really scared. And I called my, father. I said, what kind of ethics or work culture is this? And, I was better off working in a tech company. There are notice periods, there are proper systems of exit. And here this guy just sends me a message and he wants to leave. He said, this is how this industry runs, and you better manage. And I said, how do you manage? I said, you have 2 teachers, just work with them. And for about 2 weeks, I had to manage those 2 teachers and run the batches. Obviously, parents were asking questions, students were asking questions. Where are the other teachers? Where is the chemistry fellow? Where is the physics fellow? We don't see him. You're only teaching us biology. What's going on? But then obviously, I kept my cool. I kept answering them that, they had some personal problem. They're not here. The company will give you a new teacher. So I think that went on for about 2 weeks. And in the meanwhile, we struggled hard to get 2 new teachers and, were able to get them into the system. But then that experience taught me very, very important thing that for every business, there is a bottleneck resource. And for this business, teachers were a bottleneck resource. And when I went back to Delhi after my stint in Bombay, I think that was one of the most important problems that I wanted to crack, where I wanted to ensure that there is a significant and abundant supply of teachers, good teachers, and we should not, as a business, should be held against our will in case a teacher wants to leave or in case the teacher gets poached away by another competition. So I think that was a very, very important thing. And I think one of the most key elements of the success of the Aakash growth story has been our ability to create a massive training program, massive campus and lateral placement program that allowed us a huge bench strength of teachers, which are very good in teaching, which are very good in their quality in terms of their medical and IIT test prep. I think that really helped us. So back in 2001, I only had ideas. But in 2009, I had ideas. I had implemented those ideas, and I had, achieved success because of those ideas and those implementation. And that time, I not only had the idea, but I had the experience, but I also had the data to back my, to back my case with my management team, with my father, that, this is the new thing we should go for. To case an example, as a coaching company, nobody was doing a parent-teacher meeting. So when I came back to Delhi, one of our flagship centers in Janakpuri, I told my father that, my experience in Bombay has been very, very good if I'm very close to my customer, if I hear their grievances. And, he said, you were running a small center there and about 300-400 parents, you can ask them what is their problem and you can solve them. Here there are 3,000 of them. You're inviting trouble. We will not do PTM here. I said, let's try it out. It's worked very, very successfully there. He said, people will come and shout, and I know my center is, this thing is not working right, that thing is not working right. I know there is a complaint of that teacher. I know there is a problem. I said, let's hear that out. This is your assumption. This is what you feel about it, and this is what the experience you're carrying from the past. So why don't we hear them out? And I remember when we did our first parent-teacher meeting, it was this big hall with 200 parents sitting there, and I was there on the stage, and I started asking them that, your child is with us, and your and my objective is same, which is to get this child to the preferred career of becoming a doctor or an IITian. And, we are in it together, but we can go wrong at certain places. What is the problem that you're facing? And the moment I said that, what is the problem you're facing? Oh, there was barrage of allegation, question, your chemistry teacher is not right, your physics is not right, your bus service has a problem, your AC doesn't work, your benches are too tight, all kinds of questions. I did a very, very simple thing. I said, okay, fine. Sir, please stand up. Tell me your name. Tell me the name of the student. Tell me the name of the badge. And I took out a paper and started writing. And by the end of this 2-hour session, we had 80 complaints. And after that, I made a commitment that, all these problems will be solved. And then I showed it to my team. I said, you are the rock star center of this company. The company is literally known by your branch. You're the flagship center, and this is the problem that you are solving. And those 80 problems, mind you, we sat together, we solved it, and we communicated back to the parent that you came to us, you said this is the problem, we have solved it, this is the evidence. We have spoken with it, this is the photograph of the AC, this is the photograph of the classroom, this is the name of the changed teacher. And I think parents really appreciate it. And from that center, we opened that exercise of PTM to all centers in India. And we started getting same kind of appreciation. And ever since, that became, a very, very important activity at all Aakash centers. And now we have a quarterly parent-teacher meeting at all our 300 centers where we listen to the parent and we solve the problems. We're very, very close to the customer and their needs and their problems. So all in all, today we are serving more than 350,000 students across our physical centers in India, which is apparently one of the largest outreach that any test prep player has in India. So with this, we are looking forward to build even bigger test prep enterprise with the technology, marketing and sales capabilities of BYJU'S and convert Aakash BYJU'S as the leading player for years to come.
अगर आप इस टॉक के एंड तक पहुंच चुके हैं तो मैं आपको जोश टॉक्स का एक दूसरा रूप भी दिखाना चाहता हूं, जिससे मैं काफ़ी देर से जुड़ा हुआ हूं और मुझे बहुत बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद है कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं। जोश टॉक्स ने एक नया ऐप लॉन्च किया है जिसका नाम है जोश स्किल्स। अब वो नया नहीं रहा, काफ़ी टाइम से है, लाखों लोग उसको अब यूज़ करते हैं। और जोश स्किल्स पे आप अपनी ज़िंदगी के लिए कोर्सेज ढूंढ सकते हैं। वो कोर्स नहीं जो आपको फिजिक्स, केमिस्ट्री, कॉमर्स, बिजनेस स्टडीज़ पढ़ाएंगे, वो कोर्सेज जो आपकी ज़िंदगी में आपको कैसे जीना चाहिए वो सिखाएंगे। मैंने खुद जोश स्किल्स पे बहुत सारे कोर्सेज बनाए हैं, पब्लिक स्पीकिंग पे, इमोशनल क्राइसिस कैसे हैंडल किया जाए, अपनी पर्सनालिटी कैसे डेवलप की जाए। हर एक कोर्स में डेली क्विजेज हैं, एक्सरसाइजेज हैं, एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत कम्युनिटी है जो आपको सपोर्ट करेगी, आपको इनकरेज करेगी। आज ही डाउनलोड करें जोश स्किल्स का ऐप और उनके कोर्सेज एक्सप्लोर करके अपनी ज़िंदगी को आगे बढ़ाएं।